And it's also like so easy as a human being to just hold on to the negative comment and not see that you probably have just as many positive comments or no comments at all, just likes, which is also really good. But then you're like, how come I don't have comments? So it's a delicate balance, and it's day to day.
Jennie Smythe, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It's really nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you. I know I'm really excited to have you, just because what you do specifically in the music industry not only confuses me, but intrigues me in so many other ways, because me as somebody who's been in this business, what you do is the most struggle for me. So
for a lot, by the way.
It's really, really difficult. So before, obviously, I'm going to let you explain what you do and what you contribute to the music industry. But I know we're starting off this season a little differently, because I've always interviewed songwriters and getting their perspective on the music industry. And I've really opened it up now to, I've wanted to welcome guests here in the studio that wear all different hats in the music industry, because I started this podcast because I'm being someone who's in the music industry, but also before I was ever in it, I was incredibly curious about it. Yeah. Like, how does it work? What do people think about this? How does this happen? And I think that's what so many other people think, and they're curious. That's why people pick up tabloids. It's why people read articles. It's why we stalk people on social media. Mm-hmm. It's because there is something that's behind the curtain that's curious about the music industry that is just so fascinating.
Yeah.
And this is why now I'm having people from all different facets of Nashville and the music industry on the show. So just to get started, what do you do in the music industry, and what's your role that you play?
Okay. I run a digital marketing agency called Guerrilla Marketing, and we're based here in Nashville. And so my day job literally consists of all the things that we were talking about off camera. So helping people navigate the digital ecosystem overall, which of course includes social media and all the things. What I contribute is, debatable.
Sorry, no,
but I mean, I have a love for this business that goes to the core of my soul. And so I will always be an advocate for artists and for creatives, period, because I consider myself one. And so my job is to help people navigate this world with some common sense and to help them feel good about what they're doing.
Which we lack a lot of that sometimes.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, well, I think the more we offer, and I'm sure you struggle with what you do professionally, is social media has opened up the world to letting everybody have an opinion, right? And it's hard to sift through those opinions and see what actually is meant for your targeted audiences, for the people you represent, versus what's just noise.
Yes.
And that's very difficult to find, and to help find help your clients find the audience that's intended for them. Because I know your roster is very broad. It's actors, actresses, musicians, venues. I mean, you have a whole host of clients. Yeah. And so, for instance, when I was looking at your website, what works for Jason Aldean isn't going to work for Brooke Shields.
Most definitely not.
I mean, and so landing on content that is going to find the correct audience is something that arguably is probably the most important thing right now into quote unquote making it today, which is hard.
The hardest thing to do is to be yourself. Mm. Mm-hmm. And it's what truly sets all of us apart from each other. Yeah. So it's a reminder to lean into that. Like, it's easy to get distracted by trends or by initiatives or comparisons or any of that. What is hard is to be yourself, even though that might be a longer road and it might be a little harder, but in the long run, you won't have that regret that we were talking about either, of constantly feeling like you're trying to fit into something as opposed to making something fit into your life. And I'm certainly have, I don't mean to word salad on you.
No.
I mean, I have actual, I will I will talk your ear off about it because it's so simple. But we just need constant reminding, and myself included, having gone through this process of having to sit down and talk about it for myself versus coaching somebody through it is now a different perspective that I have. So it is a tremendously complicated world for being rather simple.
Mm-hmm. Well, now I'm going to jump a little from where I was going to go, and we'll circle back. But because you spoke about trends and things like that and not having to follow them necessarily, I know I've struggled with this as an artist, is that I'm in my 30s. I'm not in my 20s. I didn't really jump into the TikTok era of it all and the reels of it all. And so it was difficult for me. And maybe this is some advice that you would give to a client that's more my age versus someone maybe who's in their 20s, that what works for somebody may not work for somebody else. And if you have a client coming to you saying like, I feel really cheesy and stupid doing these reaction videos or these dancing videos or these lip syncing videos, how do you find the correct content that's going to work for an audience that you think would work for a specific client? So before I let you answer, like my main thing that I looked at that I noticed was like, for instance, Carrie Underwood. I know you don't work with Carrie Underwood. She's not one of your clients, but I remember for a while she started dipping into like wearing denim shorts and wearing rhinestones and stuff because it went with her album. Well, I went on her comments and she was getting roasted for it because it was like not what her audience thinks of her as. And so what works for Carrie is clearly not going to be, I'm never going to see Carrie get online and lip sync her songs and do dancing videos and reaction videos because she doesn't necessarily, one, have to, but two, that's not her age category. So how do you kind of work around that when you know that's what audiences are looking for these days?
Well, I think it's a little bit of the tail wagging the dog. Okay. So I don't know about you, but I feel like the artists that I love and I respect set trends. They don't necessarily follow them.
Okay.
And it's not a trend until it is, you know? And I also don't hate the idea of tapping into trends either. Like, it is going to feel ridiculous lip syncing the first time. It's going to feel real stupid to do the dance. It's going to feel odd to do the fingers down, any of the trends. But sometimes it works. So my advice is that maybe you try it and you edit it. You might not deploy it live, but I also think that like having a strategy outside of trend jacking is super important. But truly, there's nothing wrong with having fun.
No. Yeah.
But there is also a bigger umbrella there for a brand, for an artist to say simply, is this something that is going to entertain the followers that I have? Or is this something that will, basically spur engagement, whatever your goal is? Or is this something that might bring new people to my following or expand my audience? If it doesn't fit into one of those buckets, why do it?
Right.
Like, why? Like, it's silly.
Well, absolutely. And I know, like, again, I can only speak for myself and I can't speak on anybody else, but I just know sometimes when I would do certain things, I would feel like this is so not me that it reads that way online.
Yeah.
But yet I felt still trapped because this is what everybody else is doing. And it feels like that's the only way to get views or to get something done. And I think that's where there is your role, I guess, would help tremendously.
Yeah. I mean, their comparison is rough, And unfortunately, from the creative side, it's not just TikTok, right? Or Reels or whatever. It's also the type of music that's happening right now.
Sure.
It's also the look of certain people that seem to be more popular or, just more on the pulse of what's happening. Like there's all kinds of comparisons happening. Unfortunately, they all culminate on social media and you can see it and you're affected. If you're not affected by what people say about you, there's something wrong with you, right? Like that means you're a normal person that has emotions, and all of us have that. We just get better at identifying that we are feeling a certain way about it, and then we put guardrails up to protect ourselves, and we fail. Even as social media managers, we are deeply affected by some of the nastiest things you could ever imagine that we see said to human beings from other human beings. Oof. Okay. So we also have to take care of ourselves. Mm-hmm. But the day-to-day grind of sharing your life is open to interpretation, of course, by other people once you put it out in the world. So you got to be real proud of it when you make it, and you kind of have to disassociate from the results, that's the challenge. Mm-hmm. That's the challenge. And it's also like so easy as a human being to just hold on to the negative comment and not see that you probably have just as many positive comments or no comments at all, just likes, mm-hmm. which is also really good. But then you're like, how come I don't have comments? So it's a delicate balance, and it's day to day. So it's dealing with human beings. So there's no algorithm that makes that easier than, one day to the next. Sure. So it's just a matter of like what works for you. But I would just say when it comes to trends, try it. And if you really hate it after it's done, then don't deploy it. Mm-hmm. But you might find that some of them are actually really fun.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And lighthearted, which I feel like we do need a little bit more of. But it is, as we say, it's not rocket surgery.
Yeah. That's for sure. That's for sure. So when you get up every day and you have a team, what does your day-to-day look like at Guerrilla Marketing?
I wake up and look at all of the shenanigans that happened overnight. Okay. So, I do have boundaries, promise you, and I will share those with you. But waking up in the morning, like I love those blogs that are like, I don't look at my phone for 4 hours. I roll right over. My alarm goes off. I tap my Whoop. I look at my phone like that, and it's fine. It's
before your job, literally.
Well, and it's like before my kids are up. Like I spend 15 minutes kind of just looking at everything, making sure that like I know what things look like today. Mm-hmm. And if I need to contend with something, then I put it together. If I don't, then, whatever. And pretty much every day there's something to contend with, mm-hmm. But I don't let it derail me. I don't let it like challenge my day. But like this morning I woke up and it has to do with something with my own stuff, So mm-hmm. It's like, there are certain people that I do talk to at 6:00 in the morning. And certain people that I say, hey, this is what's going on. We'll talk about it, have some coffee, whatever, we'll talk about it. And a lot of times it's not nearly as scandalous as that sounds. Oftentimes, especially depending on what's going on in the world, whether there's a political environment or a weather environment, or, it's a holiday, or there's a big sports game happening. I mean, who knows what mm-hmm. it is, but just being prepared, knowing what's happening in the world, which I think is a good thing. I check multiple sources. I am, really careful to, I look at both extremes, uh-huh. I look up the middle, then I do check social media. I know what I'm doing that day on my calendar, and I just kind of like level set, like, okay, here's everything that I know is going to happen. And then I laugh because, somewhere between 6 in the morning and 8 in the morning, when I think I know what I'm doing, by the time I actually walk into the office, I have no idea what I'm going to be dealing with that day. And that used to really, I'm pretty type A, and that used to really derail me. Now I kind of look at it like, oh, it's kind of exciting. Like, am I going to get challenged today? Am I, what skills am I going to be able to apply to my life here? And so it's far less upsetting than mm-hmm. it used to be. But it used to set me off pretty good because I wanted to control it.
Of course.
Now I know I can't, but I can control how we react to it. Mm-hmm. And then I also just find it, very important to like make sure that we're putting good stuff into the system. Mm-hmm. So try to do, something of importance, of good every single day so that I can walk out of that office feeling like I contributed to somebody's better day.
With any given client, like how often do you interact with them on what's going on with their socials, preparing content calendars, those kinds of things?
Every day.
Every day.
At multiple times a day. The best ideas never come from the plan. You know, like there's things you have to do. Like, you know, you have a song release, there's an album release, there's a tour, there's sponsorship. Or somebody that's like starting out, you know that they're going to have a write that day. Maybe it's like really important to them. Like, how are you going to level set? How can I, you know, help you like not feel awkward about asking to take that photo, you know, because this is the thing. But it is so important to just feel like you're not spinning your wheels, you know? And so the plan helps you do that. However, the happenings of the world, and sometimes they're just like you said, it's the trends, but sometimes it's just like the song. And this is why I love music so much, because in a sea of reactionary behavior online, it is so much fun to see a song hit a trend as a sound, and then watch other artists create content around that song.
Yep.
To me, that's the highest form of flattery that you could potentially ever have, right?
Absolutely.
And especially artists that you know. When you see like some of their older songs hit something, that's so much fun.
That
you
is
see
really
a
cool.
generation of people using, you know, the Zach Top to the Tracy Lawrence. Like these are really fun ways to tap in. I mean, Tracy had these color block t-shirt or, you know, Western shirts. You know what shirts I'm talking about.
I know.
And so he's reposting those, which is great, you know? So that's the fun way. But it's really the plan kind of sits here to the left as our guide, as our Northern Star. But the day-to-day stuff of just looking at somebody's schedule and meaningfully say like, oh, I know that you're in Detroit today. Wouldn't it be great if, you know, if you have time to get out and about, like, can we do X, Y, and Z?
Okay.
And maybe X, Y, and Z is not possible, but it does start the wheels turning. And so usually those conversations end with, I can't do that today, but I was thinking this instead. And then boom, you have your idea. And I wish it was easier to make this content, and it's not getting easier. Like the editing process, the adding sounds, the stickers, the tags, all of that. That's a lot of what we do. But the ideas, the creativity, the collaboration, that is still client artist driven, 100%.
Okay, so let's just, for fun, say you have a new client, greener, not someone with an established audience like a Jason Aldean. How do you try to establish who their audience is, and how long do you follow a path before you decide to pivot if it's not working?
I think you always have to start with a baseline and figure out what you're comfortable with. And you have to ask those like true blue marketing questions. Who am I? What do I stand for? What's important to me? And who do I want to reach? Like, and then you have to look at the numbers. You have to get stone cold facts about who your audience is right now. How old are they? Where do they live? What are the points of engagement? And then you have to put work into it. There's not a marketing plan on the planet for any product that is just like, I don't just do what I feel. That's great. Good for you. But like, it's not quantifiable.
No.
And unfortunately, we do live in a world that is quantifiable because things cost money. So they have to have return. But for me, sitting down and actually making somebody have that conversation is the hardest part, because until you put it down in black and white and say, this is what I want and this is how we're going to get there, and you have to agree on that. Otherwise, you're going to try to do everything in all the directions, full time, no plan. And I don't mind things as they come up, but we still need to have a core plan. So your second question was, when do you pivot? pretty frequently, you know?
Yeah.
But that's really based on factors that usually end up being positives. It's far less like, oh, it's not working.
Okay.
It's more of like a discovery that something that we didn't even think about has raised its hand. And so what a blessing, instead of like having to pivot because everything you tried isn't working. And that's a thing, it does happen. But instead of saying like, hey, we tried this and then this revealed itself to us and we have the blessing to be able to pour into that instead.
Sure.
And it's often the case that somebody comes and they have like 15 goals. You know, it's like, we want to do this with the song, this with the video, I want this on touring, I want this on social. And they have these like arbitrary, like, I want to increase my social following by like 15%. And I was like, what book did you read that in? Like, who told you that? Who told you that you have to increase by a number instead of like what you need to do is talk about what kind of meaningful increase you're going to have. Like if you're going to increase your engagement, great, but how and what does that mean? Like you have to define what somebody is saying back to them so that you can either agree that that's a realistic goal that you can hit. And I love pie in the sky too, but how do you attack that? You have to attack it bite by bite. So it's the idea that you're walking around on planet Earth thinking that you have to increase I know I need to make more videos. I know I need to have more engagement. I know I need to do this. And it's giving you anxiety, but you're not actually just writing down, okay, I'm going to make myself a goal that for the month of May, I'm going to make 3 videos a week. Right? Mm-hmm. That's manageable.
Yeah.
And you might not use them all. Like you might get 2, but you might get 4.
Yeah.
And, and then what are the other things that you can do to increase engagement? Then we start getting into the plan.
Okay. So this might be an unpopular take on something, but is there times where you think that all attention is good attention?
No.
Okay. So here's the only time I'm going to push back on you a little bit with that is I think Morgan Wallen is a great example. I think that a lot of the negative attention brought him more popularity than anything.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I do agree with you but it's also a powder keg. Mm-hmm. You had a lot of things happening in the environment that, were sort of thrown into that whole episode that made people make giant statements that were about themselves politically,
sure,
socioeconomically, all of these things. And but we see this a lot where somebody becomes the unsung hero of a particular movement.
Okay.
And so to me, it's not the first time that it's happened.
No.
So I feel like it happens on all sides in all extremes.
Yep.
And it is a timing situation. Mm-hmm. But I also think that, what's interesting from the social media standpoint, and this has just been like an overall thing. It's not really about him.
You know what? That's a really good point.
Like, it's really about people identifying together as like they have something in common. I said this the other day to somebody. We were talking about pre-social media, if you were walking down the street, how could you potentially identify somebody as like your people, right? Mm-hmm. For me, I'm walking down the street with an Epitaph Records t-shirt on. Mm-hmm. And when I see other people with Epitaph Records t-shirts or a Deftones t-shirt or a Tool t-shirt, I'm like, okay, I'm probably going to be friends with them.
Sure.
I didn't have Instagram and I'm not like searching for people who like, these bands or whatever. But like, if I see you at the Kroger, I might just like give you a smile, right?
Totally.
Like as opposed to somebody who's walking around with like no offense needed here, but like an NSYNC t-shirt. I was like, might not be my first person to bond
we might
with.
not have a lot to talk about.
But that is kind of what has happened, you know, to the extreme of like people saying it's like an implied it's almost like it's a badge of honor to be like, this is who I'm aligned with. And then if you're aligned with this person, then we're good. If you're not aligned with this person, then we're not good, and we're going to fight about it.
I totally get it.
And because he's not, and I don't know him, I have no connection to him whatsoever, but he's not out there asking questions and posting content with the proverbial, what do you guys think? You know, which is my pet peeve, you know, because like you're asking for people to debate on your page. It's not my cup of tea.
Sure.
But they're doing it anyways because that seems to have created a safe space for people to do that, good or bad, you know?
Yeah, and I guess like when you just said that really connected with me is that it's not necessarily about them. It's about how someone feels like they relate to that person and if they can see themselves in that person. So coming from someone that I know you have worked with and do work with is Jason. And I would say that I personally think he became a lot even more, even though he was already popular, he became even more popular during this whole, like, I can't believe this, what happens in a small town song. Like that whole controversy even made him arguably and very much more popular through ticket sales, through everything else. So it's like, you're right. It's not necessarily him specifically. It's what people see themselves in that person.
Yeah. And I think that influence is difficult. You know, there's people that want influence and they campaign hard to have it.
Yeah.
And then there are people that are accidental that want nothing to do with it. And for us, where we sit, we are truly in the middle of all of these extremes. It isn't my job as a digital marketing person to tell somebody what they think is right or wrong. There are certain lines that we have as human beings in our personal lives, of course. But like, if you look at the roster, you'll see that it's different across the board.
Oh, absolutely.
And my job isn't to steer people from saying something or not saying something, but it is my job to say, hey, so just so you know, this is happening in the world in case you weren't aware. And by saying something like this could potentially be part of the reaction. And over the years, of course, because things are so extreme, like even arguably the most benign thing in the world, which is expressing an opinion, could be something that blows up, right? And that is news now. Yeah. Somebody's opinion and somebody's Instagram post. So there's another layer there. But I am fine with my clients pushing back on me and being right. I enjoy when they're right because they know their audience well. But it is my job to present what that could look like.
Absolutely.
And in some cases, even knowing that the consequences could be grave. There are clients that feel so strongly about speaking out about something or showing support for something that they're willing to take that risk. And I think in a community full of artists that have always really, especially music, we've always been at the forefront of politics and social justice and, you know, whatever that means to you, right? Because it does run the gamut.
Absolutely.
Actors have been something slightly different, except for, you know, I would say over the last 20 years, especially when it comes to like product placement and sponsorship, again, influence, that was frowned upon for a lot of years. You know, you like might go do a ad in Japan because you're thinking nobody in the United States is going to see that I've like drinking this Japanese whiskey and, you know, everything's fine. But now it's like you have celebrities that have products. So it's just an interesting turn of events. And it's gone from you can't sell anything. You should never sell in your communication directly to fans to being the commerce point for everything.
Yep. So going back to your company, Guerrilla Marketing, how did you come up with the name?
It was a play on guerrilla warfare. Okay. So it was meant to be like boots on the ground, kind of like behind the scenes, like, low key sort of like surprise attack marketing, because at the time that's what it was. I mean, we were like the afterthought. As soon as digital media became like a formidable force in marketing, we had already been doing it for 10 years. In fact, like they were just still arguing with us about the validity of the entire ecosystem, until the 2000s.
Sure.
So it was like the olden days, as my kids say, the 1900s.
Oh gosh.
But they like to remind me of that, keep me humble. Every 10 years we see this, and I'm just old enough and strong enough now to have seen it for three times over. And so now I feel like pretty unfazed about it. Like, I'm like, yeah, cool, great. More challenges. All right. Now today, as we're sitting here, like I go back to my office today and I have a whole thing about AI and data compliance. So, which is a passion of mine for, a very long time, like IP and fair compensation for artists and for all copyright owners, really. But it is a never ending, conversation, but it is a repetitive one, and one that I am, happy that I can still talk about somewhat eloquently, but it's irritating to me that I have to keep talking about basic copyright and compensation for artists who create and put into the world the things that a lot of us can't say in our real lives,
Yeah, absolutely.
Bugs me. Bugs me in a major way.
So what was your choice? Obviously, because the play on words for people who are watching and listening, it's play on words with gorilla and girl. So gorilla, Lilla. Obviously, that's what led to the idea of an all-female company.
Yeah.
And why was that your choice?
So before I started Guerrilla, I had the fortune of working for amazing leaders at great companies. One woman, singular. And so I just kind of thought I would create the company that I wanted to work for when I was young. I didn't see one.
No, absolutely. And I love it. So, but my question, so when I was looking at, and this is just coming from curiosity.
Yeah.
So looking at obviously your roster and on your website, I see that you represent not just females, but a lot of males as well.
Yeah.
Is there any point in time where you have thought that you've needed a male on that you've employed so that they could understand the workings of a guy?
I have tried.
Okay.
And it has not worked out.
Oh gosh. Okay.
And it's not nearly as strategic as I think people love to give me credit for.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've heard like, oh, she set out to have, I really didn't. I set out to have a small company by myself. I happened to have been a girl, my first employee who's still there, Ashley, thank God. And then it was Stevie, and then it just kept rolling. And it happened to have been that I was hiring the best people for the job.
Sure.
And they happened to have been women. And we've had a couple male interns, bless them. We have opened the doors. I mean, of course, like when we have an open position, it's open to anybody.
Yeah.
But you have to apply.
Of course.
And they don't. They don't.
Yeah, and I would imagine because of the name too. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be running. I guess I'm not a guy, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would run out to it.
Yeah, I can't pretend to think what they think. I mean, that's like a whole podcast. Like we could do a whole series on like what that
the inner workings of
Yeah.
what a guy's thinking.
Yeah.
Did you ever intend on only representing women?
No. And in fact, when we started out, we were literally, you would look at our roster at the time and it was like just burly, big. I mean, it was
funny.
It was great though. I mean, it was I had the time of my life. It was Colt Ford. It was Randy Houser. It was just
like men.
Yeah, it was dudes. And then we would get questioned, here's the biggest challenges for us was when I moved here, I still had contacts. I had moved here from California. Please don't judge me, everybody.
I'm from California.
Okay.
It's okay.
But I had a hard time maintaining some of my relationships in California because the idea was that if you weren't in LA or New York, that you were like the B team. And then also, I did at one point have offices in both LA and New York. And I hated it because I thought that I could transfer my culture here because I thought it was like fairly well established and we were doing good and we had diversified and all of those things. And it just fell apart on both sides, and it fell apart in a major way at the same time. It was a big learning failure for me as a business person. And then I was like, what am I doing? Yeah. Like, this is stupid. Like, I live here. I love it here. This is my place. These are my people. There's plenty of talented human beings that live here or that would move here. Like, this is what I want to do. And I'm tired of listening to other people tell me what the value of my own business is when I'm sitting here and I'm churning out good work. And no shade to, people that want to have bigger offices with multiple locations, but at this point in my life, I'm not trying to scale like that.
Sure.
Like, I truly just want to work with good, hardworking people that have great ideas and are willing to take a chance, and who are, for the most part, nice. I mean, we all have bad days, including me, and everybody forgives me for those. But I just don't have room in my life anymore to talk to anybody who, like, when my phone rings and I think, ugh, why are they calling?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I look at my phone now, I'm like, oh, okay, it's Tiffany. I wonder what she wants. Like, this is awesome. Let me pick up the phone.
So how did you get into this business? Like, what sparked you that this was like the path that you wanted to take and be involved in social media, the music industry, Nashville, all of that? How did you get here?
Music business first.
Okay.
From the time that MTV came on air, I was obsessed and truly obsessed with the business part of it. I had no desire to be on the creative side at all. I just, naively would just tell people from a very young age that I was going to work at a record company.
Wow.
That's it. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know that there were departments. I didn't know that, there were people that were highly skilled that were in those businesses. Yeah. I just thought, I'm going to be somebody that can put all those pieces together and then figure out how to get it to all my friends and my friends of friends and their friends and all the people like me that are in these towns that get super excited about going to see shows. They've never even heard the music, but if your friends are going to go, it's going to be a good time. And so that was it. It was very pure. It was very misunderstood. I was told by a school counselor that I should go to cosmetology school. Because he was like, that's not a real job. And, if you want to be involved in the entertainment business, like, you should maybe consider, that. And I was like, oh, I mean, I love hair and makeup, but that's not what I was talking about. Like the business part of it. Like,
do you think that being told to you then was because technically, stereotypically, it was a man's world on the business side of things, and he gave you the hair and makeup choice because that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Well, I mean, I had a math teacher once who I've always struggled, and who told my mom during a parent teacher conference, it's okay if she doesn't really understand. Like, she's cute, and so I'm sure she'll find something. And I was like, And I'm just like looking at my mom. And of course I'm like, oh, I'm fully going to slash that woman's tires in the parking lot. Like she's going to find out real quick, like what I'm capable of being just, sweet.
Just so, hey, but that's even better. You look sweet. And then who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
You wouldn't get caught for a lot of it.
But I had many experience like that. And I have a 12-year-old daughter and I have an 8-year-old son. And I learn equally from both of them. Mm-hmm. But being in this business for this many years, and especially the last 17 years being surrounded by the people that I am on my team, I hope to God they never know the pain of some of the things that I've seen. Mm. And I hope that they walk into the room and they know that chair at that table is for them and that they don't have to sit on the outside. Like, I don't even like walking into rooms. You know what rooms I'm talking about?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't even have that in my office. There's no, like, if you can't fit at the table, then we'll sit on the floor.
Yeah, we'll make room.
We'll make room. Mm-hmm. And it used to say, that you have a seat at the table, right? Like, you should feel lucky you have a seat at the table. I heard that a lot. And I'm like, well, shit. I might have a seat at the table and I'm bringing another chair with me. I'm going to put it right next to me. And I'm going to make sure that I make room for somebody else. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
Yeah.
But truly only had the dream of working at a record label. I got that dream and I got it pretty early on and had an amazing experience. Chaotic, so chaotic. And, it was dirty and it was messy and it was sad and it was, I was elated. I was all of the things, but I got that experience.
Yeah.
And I just think that when you really think about life and you really think about having a dream, just doing it is the hard part. And everyone along the way tries to talk you out of it.
Oh, yeah.
And then even when you are successful at one thing and then you say to somebody, oh, I know I'm doing pretty good here, but I'm going to go and start this digital agency. People are like, what? Why? And you're like, well, because I'm 30. Like I want to try new things. And me sitting here telling you, even writing this book, the no's that I received, even as a person that I was like, well, I'm going to market it and I'm going to hire the PR people that I know are really good. And I have the best art director on the planet and I have the most amazing photographer and I'm going to write it and I'm going to get it edited and I'm going to do all of these things. And there are people like, you're going to ruin your career. I'm like, am I?
Wow.
Yeah. And so like to even now, like this many years in at this old and still somebody feels those things, that's about them.
Oh yeah.
It's not about me.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It's not about me. So like, especially songwriters, right? Mm-hmm. Like somebody saying, well, I'm in my 30s. I'm like, cool. Guess what? Your songs will probably start being good now.
Yeah, you've lived a little bit more life to tell a better story.
Right?
Yeah.
Like now you have the thing, and did you have it at 22?
No, I didn't even start writing until actually I was in my 30s.
Right.
So that was something because I didn't feel like I had something to say.
Right.
So I completely understand that.
Yeah.
And, I was watching back through some of your other interviews that you've done recently and you were talking about, that pursuing the dream is kind of the hardest part. Yeah. And Tracy Lawrence asked you, do you think that following the dream today is harder or easier? And you said harder because it's harder to make mistakes basically in private these days.
Right.
So how do you tackle that with what you do? Because what you do is basically, it's social media, which lives forever. It's out there forever. So how do you help your clients not make those mistakes while following their dreams?
We are human. So it's not if, it's when you make a mistake. And so it's having the conversations before they happen. Hey, like here's the deal. I know you want to react to these things. I know you want to get in and defend your friend. I know like that you want to voice your opinion on certain matters. I know all of that. but like, here's the flip side, you know? And not everything needs to be expressed on social media. No. Like, that's the thing. Like, there it
is.
Right. As art, like it's, I'll say this. When we went through some of those highly emotionally charged months during COVID, and all of the things started smurging together between COVID and some social justice things and social media and people getting mad at their family members for their politics and all of that happening all at the same time. When there were certain things, like it's like a yellow box, you know, like that everybody was going to post a yellow circle about some social initiative. It didn't become about, I'm posting this yellow box or the yellow circle, as it were, to show my solidarity for this particular movement because I feel really passionate about it. But aside from posting this on my social media, maybe I donated, maybe I volunteered, maybe this is an organization that I have a personal, you know, story to in which I'm going to share. Like there were layers. What happened was then it became it wasn't about posting. It was who didn't post.
That's exactly what it was.
Okay. And it was like, that was the news story, is that within a 24-hour news cycle, people were like, can you believe that so-and-so did not post the yellow circle? Like, what is wrong with them? And they're clearly...
They must hate that group of people.
Right.
The whole thing.
They get labeled XYZ. Well, let me tell you something. A lot of those people didn't know that was happening because they weren't death scrolling on the internet like a bunch of us were, you know, because like a lot of people did do some good with their time.
Sure.
That they had, you know. It wasn't me. I was like on the phone with my friends being like, when is this, you know, like how many live streams can I handle in a day? Like I can't do this anymore. But the idea that somebody's inaction was more loudly heard than a performative action.
I was about to say performative I won't say everybody, but for a lot.
Yes. That was deeply troubling.
Absolutely.
And so that was kind of one of the precipice moments for me to writing the book, because I was like, what are we doing? You know, and it was like people that weren't necessarily active on social media, like they would have a Facebook profile that the last time it was updated was like 2012. And then it would just be like yellow circle, pink triangle, you know, like it was like, that was all they were doing.
Yep.
And so then it became, you know, it was like, well, this is hit a fever pitch.
Well, let's talk about your book. Congratulations, by the way, because it came out on the 15th, right, of April.
Yeah.
That's amazing. First of all, what made you want to write a book, and who is the targeted audience, since that is your job at finding people's audiences? Who is the target audience for your book, and what's the message you want them to take from it?
The book was originally, I set out to write a business book because of all the things that we've been talking about. And I had these anecdotal stories. I had some formative workplace stories, the like big mistakes that I made that were funny now, but like weren't then, you know, but also like what we were talking about, nobody knew except for my bosses. Right.
Sure.
So like I was able to make those mistakes in anonymity. I mean, minus, you know, getting made fun of pretty bad, like from my counterparts at these offices. But I felt like, hey, I want to share that I actually made some of these mistakes, even though they weren't public and I wasn't out documenting my whole life, you know, selfie style, made, you know, personal mistakes and all of that. And I just thought, like, if there was just an element of like sharing some amount of truth that people could see their story in mine, that maybe it was just a way to connect with, you know, a younger generation to say like, hey, let me save you some trouble. Plus, like, I feel like millennials and Gen Z get a bad rap a lot of times in the workplace. And I have an office full of, you know, generational gaps. And I've used it to my advantage to learn and to be a better boss. And it's not like, that's not a touchy-feely statement. Like there are definitely like, well, why? Like, why would I do that? You know, conversations. And then some of those conversations die on the vine. And then some of them, we both go back to our corners and I'm like, you know what? That's like an okay compromise. And like, I can understand that. And, you know, for a bunch of people my age that say a lot, hey, I don't want anyone to go through what I went through. They sure want the credit for going through what they went through. And I want them to be like ignorant of it. Like, I already went through it and we fixed it. So like, let's move on, you know, like tell the cautionary tale, but like, don't expect somebody to be like, well, you know, if you're not like me and you didn't go through what I went through, then, you know, your story, your performance, your, situation isn't as valid as mine. Okay. Like, yeah. I see that a lot.
Yeah. I see actually that in music though, as well, like as an artist.
Sure.
So, just plain example, obviously I love her as an artist, but there's a huge part of Lainey Wilson's story that she lived out of her car or in a trailer for a long time. And it's like, but if someone didn't have that same experience, then their music isn't as meaningful or as valid, and that they should have gone through that same struggle if they wanted to be just as much of an artist.
Yes.
And it's kind of like, how can't both exist at the same time and still be equally as valid? Right.
Or it would be like comparing Jewel to Lainey Wilson and talking about the quality of the car that they lived in, right? Because at the end of the day, it's the same story, but like somebody's just gotta have to one up you. You know, it's like, oh, well, you lived in a van. I had a hatchback, you know, so it's like way harder for me. So it's like we get caught up in those kind of things, you know? But I feel like, you know, for us, like listening to the people in my office who might value different things than I valued, where I really only valued money.
Hey.
I mean, that was it. It was like, how hard are you going to work and how much money are you going to make because of how hard you work? Those were the only two factors. Time in the office or time off, or, you know, what other perk was there? There wasn't any. Sure. Like there was no, I mean, health insurance. I will say I've always had, you know, pretty good health insurance. But besides that, I'm like, what else is there? Like I didn't know. Well, apparently there are people that don't want to work themselves to death, that do want to have, you know, some kind of like personal life outside of like what they do. And I okay, like I didn't know. Yeah. You know, I really didn't until I had kids and had some other perspective. But I do feel like there is a balance to be had on the super young people that are entering the workforce that have been told that they can be compensated for the same amount of money and have that kind of balance. I'm like, okay, listen, this is how this works. You can have life-work balance, whatever that means. I don't require that because I love what I do. And I do have certain boundaries of my time, but it's flexible because it has to be on both sides, right? But you can just work a job, you're 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with that. That's like very noble, you know, to just have a job that is sustaining your life because you feel like you want to go do something else and that supports that. And, you know, you get to work out and you have like time to make food and like all of that stuff. Good for you. That's not what I wanted. But you don't get paid what somebody who dedicates their entire being, not because they make the choice, but because like I didn't make a choice. I felt like I was born to do this. And it wasn't until I was completely immersed in it that I knew that I was right. So I've gotten to peel back a little bit, but it is like kind of the entitlement is the thing. But I think it's just because nobody's like sat down and been like, hey, what are you doing? Yeah. But I don't have office full. I have office full of dedicated people who are as passionate about their jobs as I am. It just looks a little different than how it looked when I came about.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was going to talk about next, is because you've seen the industry in various different phases. What do you think is something that we're missing now that we used to have?
Fun.
Okay. I mean, hey, I mean, I wasn't back, I came into this about probably 10 years ago. So it's a lot's changed even before that.
Yeah.
And then it's just progressively gotten even more. Is there something in the music industry right now that you're still curious about?
Totally. And you probably heard me say this to Tracy, but like historically speaking, over these cycles that we've seen, when anxiety and chaos is at its highest, that's where we end up winning. That means something's coming. That means that change is coming. And you can be holding on to it, or you could be like, I am open to what's coming. There is not like the whole blowback from, are you an artist or not? Are you an artist because you were discovered on TikTok, or are you not? Are you an artist only because you slept it out in writing sessions for 15 years and then you finally get a cut on a major label artist? Does that make you more of an artist than somebody that is doing covers on TikTok? That's not up for me to decide. But it is like, there is going to be a meeting of the middle.
Sure.
Right? So where are you going to be when that happens?
Yeah.
Be in the middle.
That's fair. So with what you specifically do in this business, what would you say are some of your do's and don'ts, and like what you should do with what you do for this business and what you is a no-no?
I think a lot of people spend a lot of time talking about what they're going to do instead of just doing it. And so I think my biggest pet peeve would be to somebody who talks about digital media, like, I'm sure you know these people too that talk about being songwriters, but they don't write.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. They're like, man, I can't get a cut. You're like, cool. How many songs did you write this week? They're like, oh, I didn't do that because and then excuse. Same thing on digital media. Oh, I really want to make sure that I have like a great, situation happening on TikTok. Cool. How many TikToks did you make? Well, I didn't because, I had the dentist appointment, and then, I had the job, and then and you're like, oh my God, I cannot help you. So my biggest thing is, if you say you're going to do it, write the plan out and set your goals, and set realistic goals so that you can then hit those goals, and then you can always increase later. But it's like all of us, it's like anything in life. Are you going to start the diet on Monday? We all start on Monday. Okay. By Thursday, we're like, fuck it. I mean, like literally, who gives a shit? But then I'm going to say to you, let's just go ahead and start again on Monday. We can't just be like, okay, forget the whole month. Like, I'm not going to do this, you know? Like, you might just have to say to yourself, set a goal instead of being like, I'm going to be perfect. That's not it. I'm looking for progress. I'm looking for making a commitment. You're going to do 3 videos a week. I'm looking at you because you're going to make 3 videos a week, and you're going to do at least 2 photos a day. That's it. Okay. 2 photos. They could be an old photo. It could be a new photo. It doesn't matter. But like, you're going to find something to talk about that's interesting. If you don't have anything interesting, okay, that's fine. Go comment on somebody else's post that's doing something interesting and tell them that what they're doing is really interesting, right?
Yeah.
Just be a human being. The second thing is, like, if you are a musician, there is this thing about influencer versus creator, which I am a part of. I feel like when somebody says influencer to me, I go, ooh, like, I do. But then I think about what an incredible opportunity we have. Think about all the people that have been our artists, our hair, our makeup, our costume designers, our food stylists, our chefs, our like these highly skilled, super creative people that have found an outlet that they never would have had if it wasn't for social media. And they make a living. And even if they don't make a living, they're fulfilling their creative need to share with the world. And I think that's beautiful. I think that the idea that, of all the negatives about some of the social justice situations, the reality was that nonprofits have been served very well by social media in the sense that traditional news outlets might not have had the bandwidth to share a particular story, but like one individual story of a human being who's struggling, we have the ability to change their lives just by sharing their stories as individual citizens. Amazing, right? Yeah. So from when I look at like do's and don'ts, I just say be consistent, and then you'll win. If you are creatively creating and you are consistently applying, you will win. It's just you have to manage your expectations.
Absolutely.
And the worst thing is when somebody actually does go viral, because it is hard to go back to not being viral.
Sure.
After that happened. But that's, again, the analytical story that you're telling yourself that's arbitrary. Like if you just have incremental growth every single day, every single month, every single quarter, every single year, this is how you win. Just keep going.
What would you say out of your so far like long career you've had is your favorite story you've had with a client?
Oh my gosh. There are truly so many. I will say this. My favorite is when somebody has an idea.
Okay.
And they share it with us in the early stages. And it's almost like the whisper, like, I had this crazy idea. And I'm like, great, what is it? And then a year later, we're doing it. That never gets old. Like,
has anyone shocked you that you've worked with that they were a lot better at this than you thought they were going to be?
I think everybody is way better at it than they think they're going to be. I think I get more worried when somebody comes in and they are like the expert, but they don't have any of the other things to back it up, Yeah. Like they're really good at social media, but they aren't good at being a human being off social media. I think that's bothersome to me. I can pick that out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But I think that most people are really good and most people want to do the right thing. Most people want to elevate their friends. They want to show causes that are important to them, to their audiences. They want to make things right for fans that maybe had a bad experience, at a show or bought the wrong T-shirt or whatever. Like that, those are all like amazing opportunities for us to make things right. But for me, it's always going to be the person that comes in and has an idea that's maybe like a little far left of like what their core is, and we're still able to pull it off.
Yeah.
Always.
And for any advice to someone who wants to be in digital marketing, what kind of advice would you give to somebody?
Video editing is like the hard skill that everybody needs now, but the soft skill that nobody talks about, that is still probably my biggest flex, is being able to talk to people in real life and to listen and to understand that outside of social media, most of our clients have a lot of obligations. And so it isn't just a matter of like doing a quick thing here or there. Like they're also people. And so we have to balance that out. But understanding when to speak and when to listen is hard, I think, a lot for digital marketing people and marketing people in general, because we like to talk and we like to have the answers. And sometimes if you just listen really intently, what the client says to you, they have the answers. They just don't know how to implement them. Like they know in their heart. I believe that real artists, when they create, they're also thinking about what it's going to do in the world. And so you just have to be able to ask the right questions.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Jennie. This has been really interesting because I know social media for me not only is one of my biggest struggles, but what I'm very curious about. And what you do, arguably now, I think might be the most important element just because of the shift in this industry. So thank you so much for just sharing your experience and sharing your time. And congratulations on the book.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Hey guys, it's Tiffany Boys. Thank you so much for watching another episode of What's Mine is Yours. Make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to check out more, come visit our socials and follow us at WMIY.podcast.